family gentle learners. Welcome to our first episode for Quarter 4 here in Senior High Tech TV. I am glad you are here to join me in learning today. I am Teacher Ernest, and together, let us discover life in the exciting world of biology. If you are ready to learn, please behave, listen, and take note of the important concepts of our lesson for today. It's trivia time! Did you know that a healthy male testis can produce around 500 million sperm cells daily? And these testes can also release up to 75 million or more sperm cells during an ejaculation. Did you also know that a female can give birth to about 35 babies in a lifetime? Both the male and female reproductive systems have the ability to produce the smallest sperm and the largest ovum cells in the human body. Are you excited for another amazing biological science adventure? Let's begin! Before we start, let's play a game entitled Choose the Best. Here are the mechanics of the game. I will show you a statement. Choose the best answer in 5 seconds. Are you ready? Let's go! Number 1. Which of the following statements about sex cells is correct? Letter A. Ova are male gametes. Letter B. Sperm are male gametes. And letter C. Sperm are female gametes. Absolutely. The answer is letter B. Sperm are male gametes. Number 2. In reproduction, what is fertilization? Letter A. When plant drops seeds into the ground. Letter B. When a male and female gamete join. And letter C. When a farmer puts manure into the farmland. Definitely, the answer is letter B, when a male and female gamete joined. Number 3. What is a zygote? Letter A. A cell formed when two gametes join, which will develop into a gland. Letter B. A cell formed when two embryos join, which will develop into a gamete. And letter C. A cell formed when two gametes join, which will develop into an embryo. Correct! The answer is letter C. A cell formed when two gametes join, which will develop into an embryo. Number 4. Which of the following organs is not a part of the male reproductive system? Letter A. Penis. Letter B. Testis. And letter C. Uterus. If your answer is letter C, uterus, then you are correct. And number 5. Where are the female sex cells contained? Letter A. In the ova. Letter B. In the uterus. And letter C. In the ovaries. Very good. The answer is letter C. In the ovaries. Let us discuss this further, so stay focused and don't go away. Our lesson for today is plant and animal reproduction. And for the learning competency, the learner compares and contrasts the processes in plant and animal reproduction. At the end of the lesson, you are expected to define reproduction, differentiate sexual and asexual reproduction, and compare and contrast the processes in plant and animal reproduction.
The process of reproduction ensures that the plant or animal species does not disappear from Earth. This process is very important in maintaining stability in the ecosystem and for the continuation of life on Earth, according to DJU classes. In this lesson, you are going to learn about how plants and animals reproduce. Reproduction is the biological process by which organisms give birth or give rise to a new organism. This process is seen in all living organisms, both plants and animals. There are two methods by which living things reproduce: asexual and sexual. Asexual reproduction allows a living thing to reproduce without another member of its species, while sexual reproduction requires genetic material from two different members of the species, usually but not always, a male and a female. New individuals are formed from the combination of haploid gametes to form a genetically unique offspring. Asexual reproduction in plants.
Flowering plants reproduce sexually through a process called pollination. The flowers contain male sex organs, which is the stamen, and female sex organs, which is the pistil. Plants can either self-pollinate or cross-pollinate. Self-pollination happens when a plant's own pollen fertilizes its own ovules, while cross-pollination happens when the wind or animals move pollen from one plant to fertilize the ovules on a different plant.
Let's begin with the parts of a flower. Flowers are important in making seeds. Flowers can be made up of different parts, but there are some parts that are basic equipment. The main flower parts are the male part called the stamen, and the female part are called the pistil.
The stamen has two parts, anthers and filaments. The anthers carry the pollen. These are generally yellow in color. Anthers are held up by a thread-like part called a filament.
The pistil has three parts: the stigma, the style, and the ovary. The stigma is the sticky surface at the top of the pistil. It drops and holds the pollen. The style is the tube-like structure that holds up the stigma. The style leads down to the ovary that contains the ovules. Other parts of the flower that are important are the petals and the sepals. Petals attract pollinators and are usually the reason why we buy and enjoy flowers. The sepals are the green petal-like parts at the base of the flower, and sepals help protect the developing bud. Sexual reproduction in animals. Sexual reproduction typically requires a male and a female. However, there are hermaphroditic creatures throughout the animal kingdom. Some hermaphrodites, those possessing male and female reproductive organs. switch sexes later in life, while some are born with both types of sexual organs. Self-fertilization is more common in animals that have limited mobility or are not motile, such as barnacles and clams. The male reproductive system consists of external organs. The testis and the scrotum produce the male gamete sperm, which is ejaculated in seminal fluid by the penis. The female reproductive system primarily consists of internal organs. The female gamete ovum is produced in the ovaries and is released monthly to travel to the uterus via the fallopian tubes. Fertilization can occur if the penis is inserted through the vulva into the vagina and sperm is ejaculated towards the cervix. If an ovum is currently in the uterus, it can then be fertilized by sperm that manage to enter to the cervix. Once fertilized, an ovum becomes a zygote, and if it all goes well, develops into a fetus in the uterus. Natural birth occurs when the fetus is pushed from the vagina after 9 months in the uterus. Asexual reproduction in plants. Vegetative propagation is an asexual method of plant reproduction that occurs in its leaves, roots, and stem. This can occur through regeneration of specific vegetative parts of a parent plant. For example, garlic and onions reproduce through bulbs. Potato plants reproduce through tubers. And strawberry plants reproduce using stolons. Fragmentation involves new plants growing from small parts of the parent plant to fall to the ground. For example, animals or the wind can break stems or leaves of plants. This is one of the ways that plants like liverworts and mosses reproduce. Asexual reproduction in animals. Asexual reproduction is generally limited to invertebrates. However, in the absence of available males, asexual reproduction also has been documented in some species of snake and some sharks. Asexual reproduction in animals occurs through fission, budding, fragmentation, and parthenogenesis. Fission is applied to instances in which an organism appears to split itself into 2 parts and, if necessary, regenerate the missing parts of each new organism. For example, species of turbellarian flatworms, commonly called planarians. Budding is the form of asexual reproduction that results from the outgrowth of the body leading to separate of the bud from the original organism and the formation of 2 individuals, one is smaller than the other. Budding occurs commonly in some invertebrate animals such as hydras and corals. Fragmentation is the breaking of an individual into parts, followed by regeneration. If the animal is capable of fragmentation and the parts are big enough, a separate always individual will regrow from each part. Reproduction through fragmentation is observed in sponges, some cnidarians, turbellarians, echinoderms, and annelids. Parthenogenesis is a form of asexual reproduction in which an egg develops into an individual without being fertilized. The resulting offspring can be either haploid or diploid, depending on the process in the species. Parthenogenesis occurs in invertebrates such as water fleas, rotifers, aphids, stick insects, and ants, wasps, and bees. Now, we have already discovered the processes involved in plants and animals' reproduction. If you really understood our lesson, let us check your knowledge by answering this multiple choice activity. Choose the correct answer for each question. Bring out your pen and quiz notebook, and let's begin. Are you ready? Let's start!
Number 1. What type of pollination happens when the wind or animals move pollen from one plant to fertilize the ovules of a different plant? Letter A. Cross-pollination. Letter B. Inner pollination. Letter C. Outer pollination. And letter D. Self-pollination. You are correct. The correct answer is letter A, cross-pollination. Number 2. Which of the following structures serves as a protection the inner part of a flower? Letter A, ovule. Letter B, pistil. Letter C, receptacle. And letter D, sepal. Very good. The correct answer is letter D, sepal. Number 3. Which of the following terms occurs when an individual possesses both the male and the female reproductive organ? Letter A, asexual. Letter B, hermaphrodite. Letter C, sexual. And letter D, unisexual. Absolutely. The correct answer is letter B, hermaphrodite. Number 4. Which of the following forms of asexual reproduction is the breaking of an individual into parts followed by regeneration? Letter A, binary fission. Letter B, budding. Letter C, fragmentation. And letter D, parthenogenesis. If your answer is letter C, fragmentation, then you are correct. And number 5. Which of the following structures of a flower consists of anther and filament? Letter A, carpel. Letter B, petal. Letter C, receptacle. And letter D, stamen. Definitely, the correct answer is letter D, stamen.
To sum up, reproduction maintains the balance between the birth rate and death rate. The new individuals replace the old and the dying population. It also helps in increasing the number of species in the ecosystem. The genes are transmitted from the parents to the offspring. This leads to the evolution of species. Variations in species and their ability to survive in different environments is the result of reproduction. Congratulations, my dear STEM learners! I hope that you learned a lot today. Once again, I am your energetic teacher saying, eagerness to learn will lead you in the fulfillment of your dreams. See you in the next episode. Bye!